open at 6, bell time at 7. Tickets are $12. Kids 6 to 12, just $8, and kids under 6 are always free. Northwest Florida Wrestling invades Cottondale. The fourth Saturday of every month. It's The Clash in Cottondale. Saturday, June 22nd.
I have some great gift ideas for you here at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves. We have a large selection of 14-karat charms starting at just $19.95. Engrave a personal message and add a special coin for your dad's birth year on a money clip or keychain. And a beautiful designer Bulova watch is a perfect gift that will be treasured forever. Always a perfect gift for any occasion. From Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves, where our reputation shines as brightly as our diamonds.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
ESPN Northwest Florida is an active member of the Panama City Beach Chamber. We want to introduce the newest members to the Beach Chamber: Emerald and Forgotten Coast Adventures, Florida Pro Wash, Hilton Garden Inn Panama City, the Carrington Collection, Playables, Painted Panama, the Twisted Fork Culinary Classroom, and Avid Storage, Panama City Beach, Panama City, and Lynn Haven. Congratulations from the only local sports talk station, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families, and you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number:
800-932-1176. 800-932-1176. 800-932-1176. That's 800-932-1176.
PLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn Haven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you ready?
Okay, let's begin.
Trip. The Afternoon Underdog Trip. Live and local. Inside the Talk House.
Unleash the Dragon.
I'm the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You're now riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. That's right, you're in the doghouse with David Hayes, Caveman Rick, and the Bone Crusher, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida in beautiful Panama City Beach, 104.3 right here in PC and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. And for our neighbors over there in Walton County, there's been a second shark incident that has occurred here in Walton County, and that happened not too long ago, about an hour ago. WJHG posted this article 30 minutes ago. First responders are currently on the scene of the second incident. They say that a teen was injured, but have not specified the extent of the injuries, and this is just a little over an hour after a woman was injured by a shark in Inlet Beach, and she was taken to the hospital. Gulf waters are now closed in Walton County. WJHG will continue to update as they learn more about the condition of the victims. I guess they need a double Jaws flag flying over there in Walton County.
I thought it was a purple flag when it was marine life, and double red flags
things like, well, I mean, it's any marine life, including like sharks and stuff. That's what I thought the understanding was anyways. And then, of course,
you need more of them then.
The double red flag was, of course, for like undertow rip currents and stuff. So
I like double Jaws flag better, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
Jaws flag, oh my goodness.
We were talking about this thing the other day. I'm from New Jersey. The original story from Jaws is actually based on a story from New Jersey, Matawan Creek. It's a little north of where I grew up, south of like New York City. But apparently like a bull shark got into like a creek or like a, estuary and attacked a few people. And hence that's where Peter Benchley got the story for Jaws. So anywhere in Florida, man, if you're by water, in water, between sharks and gators and whatnot, just be careful.
It's the wild west out there in the ocean. I believe it was Joe Rogan. I was listening to a podcast of his, and they were talking about how we know more about the space. We know more about space than we do the ocean. It's like we're a lot closer to the ocean to some extent than we are space out there. But yeah, that's absolutely wild. Obviously, thoughts and prayers with the injured teen and also the woman who was attacked there by the shark. So sad stuff. The Gulf waters are closed in Walton County.
Yeah, another like little add tidbit to there. I mean, the original Jaws, or the second one, at least, I'm pretty sure, if you look on the credits, some of it was filmed like right there at the Bay County, Walton County line, like right around Phillips Inlet, Pinnacle Port area. So kind of a little interesting tidbit, yeah.
Yeah, also what would be interesting if they got like a bat signal, but it was like a dolphin signal or an orca signal, and you just shot that out anytime we're having a shark attack.
Or instead of like a tornado siren, just be dum.
Oh man, that would be wild.
Yep.
Hopefully both of those injuries are not as bad as what it could be. I mean, it's man, I was watching a little video, we talked about it on the Inside Drive, of a golfer, and he was getting ready to address the ball, and then he gets attacked by a kangaroo. This is over there in Australia, and it's like, we've been talking a lot on the Inside Drive about how I would love to be able to own a kangaroo, like forget a dog, give me a kangaroo, that sucker will walk and bounce around with me, and ain't nobody messing with me at that point in time if I've got a roo on my shoulder. Well, not on my shoulder, I imagine that. But yeah, we definitely need some. And we had the orca sighting over there in Destin not too long. I mean, early this week, I believe it was.
And
so come on, guys, do your job. You're my favorite animal.
If you follow social media at times too, they have some of those great whites that are tagged. And sometimes when the dorsal fin breaks the surface, they'll ping them. And I've seen them they're pinging like not too far off the shore around here. So there's all kinds of wildlife out there. You just gotta, be conscious.
Kyle Albritton is trying to stir up a filthy narrative, saying that he heard it was a megalodon, and he says to pass on that rumor. Those are I've watched the first movie. I haven't seen the second one yet, but man,
I think if you want to learn about a megalodon, open up like a
history book,
or like an encyclopedia, and don't watch a movie like The Meg.
Oh, coming from the guy who's like, and this is totally different because the megalodon is like a fictitious movie, but being that my favorite animal is the killer whale, or at least aquatic animal is the killer whale. If Caveman Rick for probably 2, maybe 3 years was like, have you seen Blackfish yet? Have you seen Blackfish yet? Have you seen? And then finally, when I watched it, I was like, man, I'm really glad I watched that. It was a really good movie. It's essentially like the equivalent of Jaws for the killer whale.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but smart animals, yeah.
Yeah, Kyle also saying time for the waters to unleash a kraken.
Nah.
I think we're good on that, Kyle Albritton. I think we're good on
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah. I saw, I think they've got a new one, Godzilla vs. King Kong, but instead of them being against each other, they're actually on the same team in this one. Again, this is another movie that I started and did not finish because I was not able to stay awake in its entirety.
I thought maybe there might have been another reason why you didn't finish it.
No, I mean, it was decent, It's just one of those things sometimes when you're watching movies late at night, and then you also have that when you're watching action movies and the sound just goes from, when they're talking, you have to turn it up to hear them talk, but when they're not talking, it's like you're waking everyone else in the house up. So it's kind of playing that little back and forth game with it, and eventually said, you know what, I'm just going to turn it down and I'm going to hit the hay on them. 850-215-6290. Very important number for you guys to know. Why? Because you can call or text throughout the show, but also for
Atlanta Braves tickets.
7-year send-off. What time are we doing that today, Caveman Rick?
We'll be doing it at 5:20 today.
5:40 today. We're going to keep it at the same time.
Same time every day.
Same time every day. Well, no, I wasn't. It's just because we're going until 5:45 today, so we'll still do it at 5:40. It's just we don't have very much time, so it's really about the balancing of the segment. Speaking of balancing, for you guys who want to come pick up your prize packages, we've got the office hours here as 9 to 5, but a lot of a lot of the times where it's more conducive for listeners to come pick it up is during their lunch break, which just so happens to be during one of the live shows. So, if you guys want to shoot us a text and let us know that you're headed over, we'll try to give you the best time to meet us at a convenient time for us as well. But yeah, Bone Crusher, anything else to add to that?
About this, I sent an email. It was a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Decisions have been made.
So we would prefer it to be between 1 and 4. But, for our loyal listeners, if you text us, we will do our best to make things happen. Because we know it is tough. It is tough for you guys during your lunch break if that's your only time. As we mentioned when we were talking about this before, for town people, they're not crossing that bridge unless they've already crossed that bridge, So
answer that door.
Yeah, so there is that. But just shoot us a text and we will make it happen. Rick chiming in saying, good afternoon, guys. I know he is excited about the Atlanta Braves as they did get a 5-2 win last night over the Washington Nationals. Reynaldo Lopez looking good over 6 innings, giving up 6 hits, 2 home runs, I believe also in his final inning of work in the 6th inning. That was a 2-0 lead that the Nationals had at that point in time. Then the Braves got off to a nice little rip there, and they take a 3-2 lead, 2-run home run off the bat of Adam Duvall. Then I believe you had Albee scoring, and then Ozuna gets up in the 8th inning and goes yard once again for his 18th long shot of the season, padding that 1-run lead there to make it 5-2. And Raciel Iglesias comes in, cleans up the dirty work, and gets his 16th save of the season. Tonight is going to be Chris Sale going for the Bravos. He's 8-1 with a 3.06 ERA. He has struck out 82 batters in 67 2/3 inning pitched this year. So great stuff so far from Chris Sale, who did not have a good start in his last outing. So hopefully we see him bounce back tonight. The Nationals are 12-25 in games when they've allowed a home run, and the Braves are 26-3 in games when they out-hit their opponents. So, and with the pitching staff that they have this year, for the most part, it's like just get a couple of runs up, and the Braves it's been the opposite of last year where they just haven't been hitting the long ball, and the small ball is suffering because of that.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, but 26-3, typically you're going to win more games than you're going to lose if you out hit the opponent, though.
That is, yes, but here's a stat, and numbers don't lie, Caveman Rick. Numbers don't lie.
I'm just saying, that's just kind of like,
reaching for straws?
Yeah, a little bit. It's like, hey, things aren't going so great. Let's try to pump everybody up with something positive sounding. Let's throw this out here.
It's all right. We talked about this yesterday. There's 6 Major League Baseball teams that are over 500 right now. To be honest, and I'm included in all of this, Braves fans are being whiny babies.
Yeah, definitely. It's being spoiled.
Yeah, and there's a reason why we've gotten to this point, but 35-25, what are we, 5.5 games, maybe a little bit more than that. Now, the Phillies have played more games, I believe 5 more games than the Atlanta Braves to this point. So, and I think a lot of the panic, if you will, for the Braves fans is obviously not just have you lost Ronald Acuna Jr., who has an argument, there's an argument to be made as the best player in baseball, one of the best for sure, right? Top 10 easily, but you also have already lost your number 1 starter. So there's that whole like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But the Braves seem to be in pretty good hands, but the injury bug does seem to be affecting them. Even Jared Kelenic with his wrist last night, he's day to day right now. I haven't seen the lineups for today, so not sure if Kelenic is going to be going, but this is one of those series where you've got to win. It's a 4-game set. You need to win 3 of these right here.
Yeah, real quick. I mean, yeah, the Philadelphia Phillies are played 5 more games, right?
Yeah.
But because they're going to London now, and then they get their break and stuff too,
It'll
before
start
that, it'll
catching up.
probably like work itself out here in the next week or week and a half, couple weeks, I imagine, and everybody will probably be back to even. How you were talking and how I mentioned about, Braves fans being spoiled. That's one thing that kind of sticks in my craw. If you're a team that's had the fortunate luck or whatever you want to call it, where you've won championships, like, get over it, Like, I mean, you've been there. What about these teams like, I hate to say it, somebody like Adam, like a Reds fan?
Look at him.
Their team that hasn't
He
been,
complains more than Braves fans do.
rightly so, though. He has a good reason for it.
Okay, yeah, especially when he's talking about the training staff.
If you're an A's fan, you have a good reason to gripe and bitch, Like, I mean, but like if you're a Braves fan,
woohoo,
tone it down a little bit.
Do we have a Jaws in here anybody?
If you're like, if you're, a Yankees fan, I mean, complaining and stuff, like, seriously, really? I mean...
Oh, Kyle Albert with a little quip here. Speaking of whiny babies, nice transition to talking about Philly teams. He said, just kidding.
Yeah, right. Like, what are we whining about?
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, we were the city of all the franchises most recently that have finished Bridesmaids. And a lot of people were giving us gripe about that. Look at Philly fans. Oh, they're finishing second again. Well, we finished second. Where were you at? You weren't even in the championship game, were you? So shut your yap.
There's that.
And Philly fans, we're not complaining, saying, dang it, we finished second. We should be first.
I just hope that the roles are reversed this year and you guys have a great run and you ruin the streak for the Atlanta Braves and y'all win the NL East, and then we get into that divisional round and then we finally get the better of you guys in the divisional round. Because at the end of the day, right, regular season, hey, it's a 162 game season, so it all means something.
Be careful what you ask for. If that ends up happening, your boy Acuna might be gone, because they might say, look, we do better when he's injured and he's not around, so let's move on.
At the end of the day, I'm a Braves fan, not a Ronald Acuna Jr. fan. Like, for me, it is more about what's on the front of the jersey than what's on the back of the jersey, even though that is my last man standing when it comes to Braves jerseys. That actually, he might be the last, because I got a Klay Thompson Warriors jersey, so somehow that one is
okay, he hasn't moved yet.
That one's
and
still relevant.
As soon as you get the jersey, they're like just
gone.
Leaving or about to go.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost gotten to the point where it's like, just don't buy the jersey. Just don't even buy the jersey.
If you do.
Like Dalton Cope a couple of years ago got me an AJ Brown jersey for my birthday, which is in January. The draft is in April. Yeah, so I got to wear that jersey for 0 NFL games, and then he was a Philadelphia Eagle.
Age well.
No, it did not. I get my Derrick Henry jersey. So, and then I've got Delaney Walker for the Titans, and I got Julio Jones. So the Julio Jones ones is still kind of like, all right, that's kind of cool because it was my guy playing for my team for a little bit, and he's just a journeyman now anyways.
Right.
Derrick Henry, it'll make appearances, but I don't know if I can wear that, during the NFL season now, at least not on the air and stuff, because he's just not a Titan anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't feel right.
But I don't like buying jerseys of other teams, even though I love the way that other jerseys look across the board. I just love jerseys, man. But I think getting a Baltimore jersey might be Baltimore Ravens jersey might be in the cards for this year.
I don't know myself too, because like when you do that, you're actually helping out that fan base, giving them money. And if I don't like you, I'm not doing it.
I'll be giving money to China. 100 things to know about the NFL season. Right. That is 90 days away, and we are on the 90th thing, which this is dealing with the NFL odds. The Detroit Lions also plus 1,300. That's 3 teams in a row. That's the Bills, that's the Bengals, and the Detroit Lions now plus 1,300. And they nearly upset the 49ers last year in the 2023 NFC Championship. My question to you, Caveman Rick, do the Detroit Lions get back to the NFC Championship this year? I'm not even saying Super Bowl. Do they get back to the NFC ship?
That's kind of tough. I want to say yes, because they have the talent and they're a good enough team and a good enough franchise right now. But history just says that they might not be able to sustain and keep it going,
Right.
Green Bay is on the up and up. They're looking pretty good. We'll see what ends up with Chicago, how they end up doing with all the pieces and movement that they've had with them. And
Caleb Williams, the pressure that's going to be there for Caleb Williams, and the reality, like, is he a good quarterback? Is he a good leader? And we get to see that week 1 against the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, we'll find out too about Minnesota and J.J. McCarthy. So, there's some things up in the air there, but it's going to be a tough division for them. So if I had to put money on them going to NFC Championship game or the field, I would probably say the field. I think my team's got a good shot of being there. So, maybe the NFC Championship game, but I don't think no further than that.
There you go. Well, speaking of the Minnesota Vikings, I believe they're going to be going with Sam Darnold as their starter, and they've released those Winter Warrior Icy Whites. So my question is, we've got two teams in the NFL now with real legitimate Icy Whites, and the Cincinnati Bengals and the Minnesota Vikings. We have not seen the Vikings on the field. I don't know how many times I've seen pictures of jerseys and been like, ugh, I really don't even like those. Not that I've said that about the Vikings. I do like the Vikings, but which Icy White do you like better to this point? We haven't seen the Vikings on the field, so, that's a little bit tougher to gauge there. But Bengals, Vikings, who's got the better white jerseys?
Oh, I'll be honest. I'll say neither, but like if I had to pick one, I would probably say the Bengals. It makes more sense. There's white tigers, Bengal, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, when it comes to the reality.
Yeah. I mean, like the Vikings,
There's
I haven't
lot of
seen
white
them on
Vikings.
the field. But, because of ice and Norse and all that, it kind of makes sense as well. I'm happy, like, with my team that we don't have a lot of craziness going on. Like, we were talking
back to Philly.
Well, no, how we were talking the other day, too, about, you were talking about the Alabama helmets.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, I believe is what it was. Mm-hmm. And how you would like them to maybe change it up and do something different. And how
I don't think that they will. The young side of me just thinks it would be cool.
So if you're a team that has that history, has that tradition and whatever, I think that's cool to keep, and I don't want my team to have just like a bunch of, gimmicks just to sell jerseys.
The Eagles, though, y'all have a few different jerseys with the Kelly Greens, those being implemented back in.
Yeah.
And then, so not as many changes as a lot of other teams, but it's not like y'all stayed at the same constant.
But I mean, the whole Kelly Greens, like now everybody's got like a third, and that is our third. We're just going back to a throwback for our third instead of just coming up with something off the wall. The blacks, I guess, are going to be, maybe gone away with now because of the Kelly Green. I don't know. I'm just saying, 'cause I think you can only have 3. I'm not sure about that 100%, but I think there's a limit to what you can have.
So you would have your midnight green helmet, then you would have your Kelly Green helmet, and then you would still be able to have the black helmet.
Maybe I was
but the
talking
black
about
is
jerseys
more like
too,
but no, jerseys across the board. You can have there's multiple options of jerseys. It comes down to the helmet, which kind of ridiculous, but also it's a health and safety measure.
Well, and also with the helmet too, it's kind of a match, and so it doesn't clash and look pretty horrible out there. But
are you really? Is anyone going to sit here and tell me that they can't rewrap helmets pretty quick these days?
Yeah, I mean, they can too. I just, like I said, I'm down with the tradition. I don't need my team to just be gimmicky and just try to like throw something out there just to see what sticks and just to try to sell more stuff.
Well, for me, I haven't seen the Vikings on the field yet, and I think that white, black, and orange goes just a little bit better. So I would love, obviously, we would never be able to see a game where both of these teams are wearing the jerseys at the same time. But I'll take the Bengals for now. But those Vikings, man, really clean. I love the all white helmet with it's just a little outline of the Viking logo that's in purple, and outside of that, just white with some purple highlights.
Maybe the Eagles and the Packers might have to do something about that come September.
Now, are they going to be wearing blank jerseys? We'll talk more about that in the next segment. Gotta let you guys know about the FSU baseball team. They took down UConn 24-4. Carson Dorsey out of Arnold and Gulf Coast got the start, and they just absolutely ran the score up on them. And not like they were playing rude baseball or anything. UConn was just walking the guys in. So 24-4, game 1, FSU takes down to UConn. We're going to be talking to Clifford Early at around 4:40. He was there at the game, so we'll talk to him about game 1, game 2, and what the upcoming season for FSU football looks like. And then at 5:10, Andrew Weiss is going to join us to preview the Stanley Cup final. When we get back, we're going to talk about that game in Brazil, what the NFL is saying, what some of the players are saying, and I think we're going to dive into game 1 of the NBA Finals. This is the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Not have to go downtown, not have to go across the bridge and fight with all the traffic. David Adams from Jewelry, Highway 77.
How many hours is the show? Hey, I mean, can we get to the point?
You asked him a question.
Yeah, I didn't know he was going to give a recital. I'm not done yet either.
Weekday mornings 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Sunny the rest of the day with a wind at 13 miles per hour out of the west-southwest and 87. Tonight, look for a light breeze and clear skies with a temperature near 74. Tomorrow, a high around 88 and sunshine. Sunday, very warm with a high of 88 and sunshine. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Discover the new Kia during the Summer Sticker Sales event going on now at Bill Bird Kia. Our SUV family is built for all-in adventures and endless possibilities. Whether you're traveling on the highways or off-road, you'll do it with grace and grit. Now offering 1.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento or a new 2024 Kia Sportage. You get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. Now enjoy the view this summer because the road is yours in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento or new 2024 Kia Sportage with $2,165 per month per 1,000 financed in 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 7/8/24.
Behind some strong defense, clutch pitching, and a solid offense, this 2024 Brave squad's gearing up to make some noise in the National League.
Adam move all up to the plate with 2 down. He swings and hits one deep to left field. That's going to fly on back. That's going to fly on out of here.
Tonight, be here for Atlanta Braves baseball from our nation's capital as the Braves look for a division win against the Washington Nationals.
Braves coverage starts at 5:45 right after the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. He entered a kids' 1-mile fun run and came in 9th. David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs. Weekdays 4 to 6 on ESPN Northwest Florida and the ESPN Northwest Florida app.
And we are back. I'm going to go hit the track. So next race that I get into, I can finish a little bit better than 9th. Looking at a goal of 8th place, maybe 7th place. You want to race in that one as well?
Nah.
Okay.
I'm not a racer.
Right. We'll do a little 5K or something. Looking here on Twitter, you know, the whole issue or instance with Scotty Scheffler, right? Mm-hmm. And how Detective Gillis wrote in his I guess investigative report or whatever.
Narrative.
Yeah, so he wrote there that the pants were, you know, damaged beyond repair and he had bruising and all that stuff. I'm seeing a picture here. He had a little, not even a strawberry, you know, it's just like he had a couple of little nicks there underneath the knee and a rip on the left, just underneath the gluteus maximus area of the pants. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, one of those situations. Again, I
diving.
Well,
embellishment?
It might be a little bit of embellishment. Tough job. There's no doubt about it. I would so much respect to law enforcement and what they do. You know, lots. We were watching some videos the other day of just absolute crazy people and what police officers have to deal with. But
that's kind of gratuitous, though. You know, like, I mean, yeah, he said it's a tough job, but I mean, that's kind of taking advantage of the situation, I would say.
Yeah, he said the $80 pants were non-repairable. I don't know why those pants are $80, and they do kind of look like you could put a patch on it.
And even
if people still do that, I don't know. Is that like my mom back in the day? If we would get holes in our jeans, which you know is now the cool thing to do, but back in the day, she would go and get little patches and sew them on or iron them on or whatever, and so we wouldn't have holey pants anymore.
Yeah, I've seen them. I know a few people that had them. I don't think we've done them because I was the kind of kid where, like, you know, if I went out there and ripped up my clothes and it came back with them tore up, I get my rear end tore up, and then I wouldn't have like nice clothes to wear. They probably like buy me, you know, stuff I wouldn't like to wear.
There you go. 850-215-6290. Again, congratulations to those Florida State Seminoles, 24-4. That's a lot of runs, and I believe they only had 18 hits as well. So there was a lot of walks, but they got it started off with home run after home run, and then a great outing from Carson Dorsey. I don't believe he gave up his first hit for the first 4 or 5 innings. The game started at the same time as the inside drive, and they were in like the 3rd inning by the time that the show ended. So that was a long game. And I know they got a pitch clock in college baseball, but they need to move those things a little bit faster and maybe think about a run rule. I mean, 24-4, it was like 21-3 after the 7th inning. Maybe think about a little bit of a run rule there.
What do you think that would be? Would it be a fair run rule?
I think because the game of baseball is so wild and you never know what's going to happen. But man, I think when both coaches could agree, like, all right, hey, we're throwing in the towel on this side, if you'll agree to throw in the towel on your side. When coaches sit there and say one base, all right, we're here playing one base at a time, I think that's when the game's over at that point. Now, again, I'm all game for, like, hey, we're going to play all 27 outs. If that's what we want to do, I'm all for it. But I think, if the players are sitting there and they've thrown the white flag mentally, then at that point, and if coach feels the same way, maybe you can have a little meeting there at the mound or meeting at home plate and make something happen there.
I feel what
if there was a rule for that.
Yeah, and I feel what you're saying there. I mean, saving like pitchers' arms and things of that nature so that people don't risk injury. I get all that. But at the same time, too, if you're, quote, throwing in the white towel, this isn't like a boxing match or like a UFC thing where there's a lot of physical harm, detriment that can come from it. It's just like saying, hey, we got our butts kicked and we don't want to play no more because we don't think we can come back. It's like kind of the wrong attitude to have. It's kind of the wrong sentiment to give,
It is the wrong sentiment, but you can watch the games and you can see it, though.
Oh, I understand that, but then that's a poor reflection because, you should go out there and play hard regardless of what the score is.
All right, we've got Cobb on the line with us. Rob, you were riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What's going on, my friend?
See, I expect nothing less from an Atlanta Braves fan. I don't know how you got Cobb from Rob. I mean,
my bad.
No, that's the markers. It's the marker's fault, Rob. It does kind of look like
does kind of look like Cobb, like
I
KOB.
understand.
But you can blame my Braves fandom. I'll take it all day, my friend.
Gotcha. So, there's some iconic sports moments like the Michael Jordan, where he switched hands midair, that amazing call, the Tiger Woods shot where the Nike sign was just sitting there dangling.
Oh yeah,
and the ball just dropped. I want to say I think we just saw another one of those happen in the tournament that's going on right now. Have you guys seen that shot? It was in the bunker. Hit the flagpole, sat there for a second, and then dropped in. Just happened about 30 minutes ago.
Oh, well,
sure haven't.
And there was a good call on it?
So I don't know how the call was, but they've been playing it over and over again. It just happened, and I wanted to say, it's crazy. I remember the Michael Jordan thing when at my grandmother's house watching that game. I think I got lucky. I caught another iconic moment right as it happened.
Wow.
And you guys haven't seen it yet.
No, I have not seen it, man. I'm trying to find it right here. I'm on Twitter. ESPN.
Go to ESPN and on the hit the golf link, and it's right there.
All right. Well, we're gonna and then if I can get this shot over to Bone Crusher, we'll listen to it.
Oh, Xander Schauffele's looked like.
Oh, it's a Schauffele. Hey.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
the shot was phenomenal.
All right, here we go. I'm pulling it up right now. Hopefully this ad blocker works. Yeah, all right, so he takes a swing out of the bunk. It rolls. Oh, right on the edge of the flag stick, and then it just falls in, man. Yeah, very nice.
And I'm telling you, and it was 30, 40 seconds TV had been on.
Dude, don't you love those moments when it's just like, it's like, God, were you telling me something here? Did I need to witness this? I love it, Rob.
If this is my sign to start picking up golf, I'm going to need a couple more. I'm just not there yet. But I appreciate the time, guys.
Hey, there you go, man. Have a great day.
You too.
Hey, Rob there with a great call, and I love the little jabs there at my Braves fandom for calling him Cobb. That's just, a little common mistake there on bad reading glasses. I have bad reading glasses, so I'm going to need to go check out my prescription there from the old optometrist.
Very Tiger-esque that shot was.
Dude, well, I mean, yeah, that was phenomenal, and I love when people give us great stuff to look at, and because honestly, something like that, if I don't see it within, first 24 hours, by the time Monday comes around, it just depends on how popular it ends up being.
Yeah, then it ends up being the old news pretty much. There's so much going on. But yeah, I mean, I'm like with Rob, there's so many things too, or not so many. There's been quite a few though that have turned the television on, and then like within a few seconds, boom, something really cool happens. Like Tony Hawk doing the 900 or that KD
you've had
or
that
whatever.
One, yeah.
And then just like when Acuna went down, I literally turned that game on. It's not a good thing. Put the remote down, and like 3 seconds later, he's on the ground.
Yes. I think one that stands out to me wasn't that I just turned the game on, but I was at a particular place playing pool when the Braves were in, I believe it was Game 6 of the World Series, when Jorge Soler hit this shot. When he hit the shot against the Houston Astros, and I had walked outside to grab something, and as soon as I walked back in, he just mashes it. So
who was it was it last year's Diamondback team that it seemed like every time you turned on a game, somebody was hitting a home run?
It was Geraldo Perdomo.
Yeah. It was like he only had 8 or 9 homers or something small like that, and it seemed like everyone basically watched live.
Throughout the year, like by the time that we got to the World Series, or really it was in the playoffs, because I think I started noticing that, around the Phillies, but throughout the year, anytime that I would turn the Diamondbacks game on, it would seem like Perdomo was up to bat and he was hitting a jag. And so I'm thinking, man, this guy's a stud. I go look up his stat line. I'm like, I guess I've watched every single home run that Geraldo has hit this year. So
crazy.
Yeah, man, that's great stuff. What are some instances like that for you guys listening out there? 850-215-6290. You just happen to turn the TV on, and then boom, this great thing is happening, and now that great thing turns into something that is shown over and over and over again, like he mentioned with Jordan switching the hands. The Vern Lundquist call on Tiger Woods with the basically, you can't draw up a commercial any better than
cliffhanger.
That cliffhanger, yeah. And that one right there by Shoffley was that was a little bit of a cliffhanger, because it looked like it wasn't going to fall in, and then boom, just drops right there. Oklahoma last night won their 4th consecutive Women's College World Series in dominating fashion. Now, the game was back and forth. You get to, I believe it was the 6th inning. Texas is threatening. Runners on 2nd and 3rd. They get a base hit, and the young lady decides that she was going, they push across 1 run, so now they're only down by 1. I think it's 6-5 at that point in time. And she tries to get, or at least we assume she was trying to get in a pickle between 1st and 2nd to try to get that runner from 3rd home at that point in time. But the Oklahoma defense was keen to it, and they threw her out there at first base. So great defense by Oklahoma, and just a great run, and 5 pitchers used.
5 pitchers, a lot of pitchers being used in the game. Crazy.
And, that was something that when Coach Murphy was doing that in the Bama-Florida game, which was, the winner of that was going to take on Oklahoma prior to getting into the College World Series, Murphy was using that same kind of strategy or tactic, just using a bunch of different pitchers. And I was like, what in the world are you doing? Then you see it happen with Oklahoma. Now, I think the difference was, if this is Game 3, it might be different. Obviously, Kelly Maxwell is going to get in at some point in time. But when you have that lead there at the end of the game, and you got an opportunity to let your season close, to close them out, then yeah, I think you go that direction.
Like, I was looking at the records, I think it was this morning, for the last 4 seasons, and it's like, they won total of 44 games or something, lost a total of maybe 3. One of the seasons or the playoffs, they went 10-0. So I guess obviously you have to win 10 games, and then if you go undefeated throughout the playoffs, it's 10-0. So a few of those other ones, it was like 10-1 or 10-2, and then like 11-1. So it's like, when you look at those numbers, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they have been dominant. They've been the number 1 seed since 2018, up until this year, where their conference rivals, Texas, ended up being the number 1 overall seed, and Oklahoma ends up winning it again.
If I'm not mistaken, too, because I think I heard this right at the end of what I was watching, but they had, I think it's 10 girls on that team that started as freshmen that went through their 4 years and haven't lost. So if that truly happened, and they got 10 members of that squad that won every 4 years the whole time they were there, that's I'd like to say that's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool to be a part of that group, like a fraternity or a sorority of girls, for the rest of your lives, something to talk about,
Yeah, and did you mention, sorry, I was reading a text right there, but were you mentioning the fact that some of those girls have won a championship every single year that they were?
Yeah.
That's what
I think it's like 10 total of them that were there, I think, if I'm not mistaken, since being freshmen, but that's just sick.
It is, man. And two of them came in together, and they've just been dominant on that roster.
I mean, and you think about that too, that's your whole 9-position team along with a DH, 10 people, basically. And if you can keep 10, a nucleus of players like that together for 4 years and have that kind of success, just wow.
Very impressive stuff. Patty Gasso got them going. They'll be going to the SEC next year, so an already lethal conference in softball, and the SEC is going to be getting 2 more high contenders there
I'm sure,
for softball.
Olympics too. A bunch of these gals will probably play in the Olympics, I imagine.
I would like to think so. I hope so, because we got to keep that gold going strong here. Boston in game 1, man. 37-20 after the first quarter.
He's on fire.
Second quarter, the Mavericks start jumping back in there a little bit. Then after halftime, it was like, all right, is Dallas going to make a game of this? And then Boston answers back with their own 11-0 run. I think, you see Kristaps Porzingis comes back, and it's like, wow, there's nobody even going to mess. Obviously, each game is an individual game. It's a case-by-case situation. But with Kristaps back, I'm sitting here wondering, I do think Dallas will win a game, but it's like, how are they going to win a game? How do you stop that trio essentially? And then you're not even talking about Al Horford yet.
I did a parlay last night, and so on 2 of them, I took the unders on Porzingis, being that he ain't played in about 40 days or something like that, and then he has his over in the first quarter.
What was the point total at?
13, I think, 13 and a half or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. But he was already over within a quarter of the game. So I was just it's mind blowing,
Finished with 20 points in that game.
Al Horford got the first basket, I think, too.
Did you have a bet on that too?
No. Well,
that's a tough one.
I think on him, I think I had the over on one of them. But it's just crazy to think that of the people that you were going to think that were going to ball out, especially early on in the game, those wouldn't have been 2 of the people I would have chose.
Yeah, 107-89, the final there. Game 2, I believe, is Sunday evening.
Sunday, I believe so.
Yeah, because they got the little 3-day stretch in between. We do got the Stanley Cup Finals starting tomorrow night, and we'll have Andrew Weiss later on getting us ready for what's going to happen in the Stanley Cup Final. But after seeing that game last night, do you still believe any of the? Obviously, you have to believe the hype around Dallas. But do you believe Dallas can make this a series, or are you looking at a gentleman's sweep? What's your overreaction to the game 1 of this series?
I'm not going to react to it. I think it might have just been an anomaly. Boston, we've seen. They've done all right, but the East is pretty weak, right? Dallas has made it through the way tougher Western Conference. I think they're more battle tested, I would say, than the Celtics are. So being said that, until we see some games being played in Dallas, I don't want to say anything yet. Game 1 was in, Boston. Boston had, some time. They were going to come out, guns blazing, for lack of a better term, and they were going to come out and ball and try to win, make a statement, and they did. But Dallas, being that they've, like I said, had 3 tough rounds now, give them a minute, tested the waters out and see if they can bounce back a little bit, at least make this second game close, and then go back home. And, if they can get a split, too, if they can win the next game, then,
yeah, if they can win in Boston, that will change the narrative around this. I don't think that the fans were as bad as what I was expecting, nor Kyrie Irving was expecting. Seemed pretty calm there in the building for that.
Speaking of Kyrie, it's funny, what Max said in our group chat yesterday about how, he's going to hold his promise true about getting a championship for the Boston fans.
There you go. Hold true to your promises. Real quick here before we get off the line and get ready to have Cliff Early tell us about what went down in Tallahassee today. Are you excited about that Mets-Phillies series in London, or is it just another series to you?
It's kind of cool seeing, I guess, baseball overseas in London. Did see something today where apparently somebody came out with a Mets-Phillies shirt that they were trying to sell, as if somebody on the Mets side or the Phillies were actually going to buy a shirt that had both of the sides on there. Now, I do have my one T-shirt that I wear that says Yankees in the Boston Red Sox colors and in font, that's purposely to do something. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if
that's
you know
not,
Caveman Rick, you know he likes to push buttons.
Well, and that is pushing buttons because you're kind of, doing something kind of, off the wall there. But that one, it just had their logos and in white instead of like the actual colors in the shirt that I seen, white and gold. I think it's bad taste. I mean, if you lived in London and you were just getting something to commemorate the game, I could maybe see that, as like not a true baseball fan or not having like any allegiance to either side. But outside of that, somebody here in the States, no way.
Well, speaking of pushing buttons, we're going to push some buttons here and take a quick timeout. When we get back, we'll be giving you the Cliff Report from Tallahassee. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida.
Come on vacation.
Summer vacation. Hey, how's your vacation going?
Leave on probation.
Sheriff's deputies in Panama City Beach arresting 161 people during an out-of-control spring break weekend.
Welcome to the Emerald Coast. Have a great time at the beautiful beaches, but not like end up in the back of a police cruiser great. A friendly reminder from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
Hey there, folks. Looking for a place that feels like home right in the heart of Panama City? Well, look no further than Charlie Corm's Place at their new location on 15th Street. Charlie Corm's is not just a place, it's an experience. Imagine cozy corners, friendly faces, and the aroma of delicious dishes that'll make your taste buds dance. From sunrise breakfast to late night bites, Charlie Corm's on 15th Street has it all. Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street is now offering exclusive weekday lunch specials. Visit Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street. Look for the giant mural.
It's real and it starts now. Back to the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and the Bone Crusher. You're tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida, and we are less than an hour away from the 7-year send-off from ESPN Northwest Florida. Since 2017, you've made us the go-to for the Braves right here in the Panhandle, so it's time for us to return the favor. 7:40 weekdays, Coach Hale Show. You got to listen there. 12:40 on the Inside Drive, and then 5:40 with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to give you a cue to call, and then you got to be caller number 10 at 850-215-6290. You automatically get a wonderful qualifying prize. Then you go into the grand prize drawing to win that all-inclusive trip to see the Braves take on the Blue Jays, and that'll be Saturday, September 7th. Comes with your hotel, your spending cash, your food and beverage at the game, and amazing seats at the Xfinity Club. Also, you can qualify for this one as many times as you like to increase your chances of winning. That's brought to you by PCB Hobby, Fairfield, Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive, and by Home 2 Suites. Now, Clifford joins us next. Clifford early was over there in Tallahassee for the Super Regional between the Knowles and the Huskies of Yukon. Carson Dorsey was on the mound today. Clifford, how are you doing, and how was Carson for that first game?
We're still trying to recover. It was hot as Hades, man. It was unbelievable, which is perfect weather when you've got some Yankees from Connecticut coming down. I mean, every time I looked up at the scoreboard, it seemed like they were all from Connecticut. But what a record-setting day. You know, it was already a record-setting first pitch because Florida State's been to more super regionals than any other team, in addition to being to Omaha more than anybody that hasn't won it. Of course, 23 times we've made it, and maybe we'll get our fill a second dozen and get to 24. But that was the final score today. It was 24-4, the most runs and the highest winning margin in Super Regional history. Unbelievable. I barely was even there. Struggled with my app to get my ticket that I bought days ago. And I could have gotten a ticket at the gate for less than my service fees were.
Oh, don't you hate that?
unbelievable, dude. It was heartbreaking. But we ended up I was on ESPN. We ended up, the seats were so hot front row that we were able to sit right behind home plate for a couple of innings. It was great. I drove over by myself from Pensacola and, solo, and didn't have a friend. I run into Spencer for Hire from Freeport, and a shout out to the Hilton down on the beach at Destin. And we had the best time. But before I met him, it was a rout before we got to O Canada in the bottom of the fifth. Marco Dingus, I think he played in the Panhandle Conference. He led the way with a 2-run shot in the bottom of the first. It was followed by not Jamie, but Jaime. What's Jaime's last name? Ferrer. Yeah, the French dude. So, and he's so awesome. He was in the press conference yesterday. But anyway, he went with a solo shot, so now they've gone back-to-back. Bottom of the second inning, Max Williams goes high over the screen towards the circus. The war chant said it was a cloud-scraping shot. It's kind of cool. And then later, Ferrer with another home run that was 415 feet to dead center. It was just spectacular. One of the home runs went off the top of the scoreboard, and there were other home runs. McGuire Holbrook, I think, had a bases clearing double off the bench. Carson did great. Isn't he from Arnold? Or is he from?
He went to Arnold, and then he went to Gulf Coast, actually. So, a double dose of Bay County.
Yeah, a double dose of Bay County and more doses of the Panhandle Conference once again. Now, there was the guy that was struggling the last couple of series, the player of the year for the conference, James Tibbs III. He was 0 for 7 for like the last 2 weeks, except he had 7 walks in that stretch. And he had 2 RBI walks today with the bases loaded, and he had 2 more hits. It was just a hit parade. It was crazy. It was so hot. We were guessing, sorry about that loud hot mic right there. We were thinking it was 110 degrees on the field. And after we sat behind home plate, we sat in the shade and we realized we were dizzy. It took so much out of us. But the bats were on fire. 24-4. It was 24-3. It was 24-1, and we're like, that's not a football score. And then it was 24-3, and we're like, hey, that's perfect. Then we got another run at the top of the ninth.
Does it worry you at all? Cliff, does it worry you at all, like maybe they scored too many runs in the first game, or is it just one of those things that maybe the offense has been they've been scoring a lot of runs. But how do you feel about this for game 2? Is it a good setup, or does it have you a little nervous?
I'm stoked. I got in an argument with Coach Mark Cobley earlier this week back in Pensacola. And he was like, no, they're going to throw Jamie Arnold in the first game. They're going to throw their ace game 1. And I'm like, I don't know. Last weekend, Friday and Saturday, it was Carson, and then it was Jamie Arnold. And so I think they're going to try to keep the timing right because they have to lift, they have to recover, they have to do their bullpen sessions, and it just made sense to keep them both at 7 days. And Link Jarrett, the head coach, said in his press conference, maybe yesterday, was like, look, they're both going to pitch 2 days at least, right? Mm-hmm. Or 2 days, they're going to both start. So we're just going to keep it. Made perfect sense to us to keep the schedule the same. Jamie Arnold, maybe the best pitcher in the ACC. At one point, some guys late in the season were saying he's number 2 behind the Duke ace. It's going to be awesome. We didn't bring in the hammer today either. Link was bringing in a pitcher to throw one out and another pitcher to throw another out. And he kept bringing guys in so that they could feel that adrenaline and understand what's going on here and feel the heat in case they're needed the rest of the weekend. But we didn't bring in Brandon Oxford. We didn't bring in the Ox who brings the hammer. And that's the transfer journeyman, if you can say that in college basketball. Baseball. But they played at Wake. So he's been in competition, and Link Jarrett just loves the kid, and he didn't see the field today either. So we've got him in the bag. I feel so confident now about tomorrow, but it's a new game, right? The Heat took it all out. Who recovers better? But Jamie Arnold on the mound tomorrow for the Noles. Win number 47, I'm thinking is going to be tomorrow, and it's time to start looking at flights or Google Maps and Waze to Omaha.
There you go.
Kind of excited.
Got to get over there. If y'all, I mean, more than likely looking like y'all will be headed to Omaha and get those Rocco shots counted up over there. Do you think there should be a run rule in college baseball when it's 24-1 in the ninth inning?
Dude, it was like 8 or 9-1 in the fourth before they sang "Oh Canada," as I mentioned. And, we scored 24 runs. It was nuts. I mean, we were silly when it was 18 or 19. It was like, oh, we scored 12.5. And then we scored 9 runs. What a cricket number in the bottom of the seventh. Just unreal. So as far as the run rule, we thought that we might see it. But anything's possible. Spencer was like, have we ever seen a 21-run comeback? And I was like, I bet there has been one in college baseball, but probably not in this tournament.
Yeah.
So we'll see if the Huskies can show up. They are under the freaking gun tomorrow. I was walking around the stadium at one point, and I said something to somebody who probably didn't hear me, but I was like, man, I don't know if the Big Ten is ready for this. I'm so excited about our brand in Tallahassee. I got a couple degrees here. And I hope the Gators are able to pull an incredible series upset starting tomorrow, and the Bulldogs are able to represent because they're playing Clemson. So I hope the Dogs, I hope they can sick them. I'm excited about the tournament. Obviously, I think it's setting up to be one of the best that we've seen in a long time.
Well, and you mentioned earlier that the Florida State Seminoles have been to the College World Series more times than any other team that has not won a College World Series. What would that mean to you, the fan, Cliff Early, for Florida State to get it done and hoist that trophy at the end of the year?
I don't even know, man. My brain and my verse are getting chopped just trying to put something out of my mouth. And I was telling Spencer earlier, I was blessed to meet Gene Deckerhoff at the 2010 Chick-fil-A Bowl and was able to go into his broadcast booth at Doak Campbell Stadium like 12 times. I've never been to Omaha. I wish I'd been to Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium. But I'm so excited. Last week I wasn't real confident. I didn't think they could go 4-1 and win a double elimination 14 tournament. And they went 3-0 and they made it happen. And Carson Dorsey was a huge, huge part of that. And he showed up today and threw probably 80 pitches. So he might, or 90. So he might be able to go on Sunday if needed. But I don't think there's going to be a Sunday for the Huskies.
Yeah, especially as you mentioned, Jamie Arnold, who's one of the best pitchers in the ACC, is getting the ball for Game 2 tomorrow. So are we expecting another?
What time is that? That's a crazy start. We were the first pitch of the whole Super Regional today, right, at 11 a.m. on ESPN. And tomorrow we're the first pitch also, I think. It's at 10 a.m. It's 11 o'clock Tallahassee time, Eastern time, and it's 10 a.m. local Panama City and Emerald Coast. So, and also on ESPN. So we're getting the love from ESPN. How about that?
How does that make you feel? Like wrong? Are you like wrong sport, man?
It's still bittersweet, brother. It is still bittersweet. So the snub will always be the snub, and it's just fun to see people like Fisk and Verse go tandem together and be in tears when they go together to the Rams. And it's been a special time, and it looks like the Noles are back. Hopefully the Gators can get back full strength, and all the other sports too, like football, who knows. And, the Hurricanes, like Jeff Cameron says, he's like, you've told me you're coming back over and over and over and over and over. I think he said it 27 times on the show in Tallahassee. That's also on War Chant and also on YouTube too. But I'd like to see him come back. But with UCF and with Troy and, Tulane and LSU, we're in the heart of it all, which is so beautiful. War Eagle and Roll Tide, and it just goes on and on.
It really is, man, and it makes it a lot of fun right here in our area, in the Panama City area, with having the two bases and just the military presence that we have here makes it even a more vast array of teams that we're covering around here, and that teams that I'm surprised all the time at the amount of Missouri fans that we have here. Shout out Cam Keys, who will be headed there from Mosley. But do you believe in
Michigan? What's his name?
Michigan Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie. He went to the title game, I'm pretty sure. I think he didn't sleep for 30 hours to get the 8th ticket, which was his. What a story that was. Gosh. So anyway, yeah, we're talking about it. And like I said, if Florida State really is likely headed to the Big Ten, with or without that AAU research funding certification, and I'm surprised we don't have, with the super magnet in Tallahassee, in joint with FAMU, as well as the new medical school is starting to bring in research money. But I've heard maybe that doesn't matter. They love our brand, and they're starting to see how widespread it is. So,
that would be a huge get for the Big Ten to get Florida State. I mean, as an SEC guy, as a Bama guy who resides in the SEC, but I would love to see Florida State in the SEC and to kind of intensify that rivalry between Florida State and Miami. I think it would be all right to see them in the Big Ten. If you had your choice there, if it was on the table for the fans to decide, SEC or Big Ten, which conference would you rather see Florida State in?
My whole life, I would have said SEC. I'm talking half of a century. Mm-hmm. But now I'm just feeling it. I think Big Ten, it's going to be hard on travel for the students.
Yeah.
I don't know how that'll affect when some sports actually go to club play, like, the men's lacrosse of some schools, et cetera. It'll be hard on the fans too. I mean, hey, okay, let's go play Washington this week, and then we're home this week, and then we're going to go play Oregon the next week, and it's like half your games are in Ireland. It'd be nuts. But I'm looking forward to it.
I am as well. Cliff, one more question before you. We've got about a minute and 20 seconds or so. Which transfer for the Florida State football team are you the most excited about this year?
Oh, man, that's so tough. First name that came to mind was Earl Little, that's going to play the nickel that Jones played last year. But, of course, I love all five of the guys that came off of the Alabama bus to Tallahassee. But out of Georgia, it's got to be Marvin Jones Jr. It's got to be Little Shade Tree. I'm so stoked, that he wanted to do his own thing, and he went to Georgia, and he kind of played in a game or two. He started our 13-0 game, or the bowl game. And so Marvin Jones Jr. Hey, quick shout out. I heard the news. I heard about the shark attack.
Yeah.
We just got to keep praying. We were talking about Jesse, who was bit, 20 plus years ago. And it's just so tough. It's so rare. And I just feel for the family and for the lady, and I'm just praying for the doctors and the staff. So, guys, it sure puts a damper on a 24-4 win in Florida State when you hear something like that happened in Destin. So thanks for letting me report into you guys and to ask for words of love for her. And thanks, David. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Hey, you do the same, Cliff. We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. You too.
That is Clifford Early, ladies and gentlemen, and just checking WJHG here. Still no update on the condition of the young man and the lady who was injured by a shark bite. The lady there at Inlet Beach, she was taken to the hospital, and then the teen, they haven't specified the extent of the injuries for either of them at this point in time. And as Cliff mentioned, that does put a little damper on the day. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, hour number 2 when we return.
For 7 years, ESPN Northwest Florida has been your destination on the Panhandle for the Atlanta Braves.
He just blew the doors off that thing.
But our listeners are the real MVP.
Another dominating performance.
So this year, we're giving away more tickets to Truist Park than ever before. Keep listening to win family 4-packs to experience the Atlanta Braves. From ESPN Northwest Florida, PCB Hobby, Pepsi, Fairfield, Hampton Inn on Thomas, and Home 2 Suites.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Sunny the rest of the day with a wind at 13 miles per hour out of the west-southwest and 87. Tonight, look for a light breeze and clear skies with a temperature near 74. Tomorrow, a high around 88 and sunshine. Sunday, very warm with a high of 88 and sunshine. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Bestway and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Bestway or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Bestway Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Bestway Portable Buildings, just north of Harts Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Behind some strong defense, clutch pitching, and a solid offense, this 2024 Brave squad's gearing up to make some noise in the National League.
Adam Duvall up to the plate with 2 down. He swings and hits one deep to left field. That's going to fly on back. That's going to fly on out of here.
Tonight, be here for Atlanta Braves baseball from our nation's capital as the Braves look for a division win against the Washington Nationals.
Braves coverage starts at 5:45 right after the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
From Tyndall Air Force Base to the Hathaway Bridge, we're live and local. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Back for hour number 2. This is the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe, about 39 minutes away from the 7-year send-off. Also, another piece of local news that I did not see until just right now. It's not necessarily breaking because it broke this morning. We just had Gulf Coast Jam. Kickoff Jam was supposed to be around, Labor Day?
I thought that was called Sand Jam or something. Did they change the name, or is that something different?
I think Sand Jam is something totally different. I don't even know if that one's still going around. We have so many jams around here. Someone bring back NBA Jam for crying out loud.
Hey, more sports.
More sports. Yeah, we got a lot of tournaments going on around here as well. But the Kickoff Jam 2024 has been canceled. It was originally scheduled for August 30th through September 1st over there at Frank Brown, and it had Garth Brooks, Carrie Underwood, and I believe
that's
Alabama.
why I didn't hear about it.
And their statement after the success of Gulf Coast Jam this past weekend in Panama City Beach, we realized the weekend after Memorial Day is a much better time to host a festival. So we are going to cancel Kickoff Jam and provide refunds. Purchase tickets will be refunded. You can go to kickoffjampcb.com for details.
Maybe they should come up with some different stuff, because it sounds like it's Gulf Coast Jam squared. It sounds like it's the same music, the same type of stuff.
Well, it's a little bit different, because I would say with Gulf Coast Jam, well, because you're not a fan of country music, it's Gulf Coast Jam was more of a
this is country and country is what you're telling me. Both of these are countries.
Okay, now if I were to say, that's all rock, how would you react?
Yeah, you could say something's like classic rock and something's newer age.
This is more modern country, whereas these other artists were more older country.
It's still the same. Like, I would rather you do, if you're gonna do like,
thoughts, but no, listen,
you're ignorant. If you're gonna, no, it's not ignorance.
It is.
You do one concert like one time of the year that's country, right? For the people that dig that.
Okay.
Then you do another concert another time of the year for people that might like rock or alternative or something different.
I don't disagree there.
To appeal to a bunch of different people and stuff like that.
I don't disagree there.
Instead of basically just putting out just regurgitating what you did 3 months prior.
All right, fair there, and I do think that there should be other music festivals type around this area. I'm just saying that for country fans, right? For if you were to go up to someone who really enjoys country music, even myself, Garth Brooks and Morgan Wallen are two different eras of country music.
I mean, I get all that, but I'm just still saying it's still country music, and my whole point is do something a little bit more diverse.
Okay, and I think that a lot of people would look forward to something like that, and even talk to the Jam people about it. Kickoff Jam, PCB, Caveman Rick, y'all need to have a meeting.
They don't want to talk to me. I'll set them straight, yo.
All right. On this day, 1923, a little bit of Braves history for you. The Boston Braves acquired pitcher Jesse Barnes and the catcher Earl Smith from the New York Giants in exchange for pitcher Mule Watson and catcher Hank Gowdy. I think I would rather my catcher be named Mule and my pitcher named Hank. 1925?
Yeah, Mule, too. Kind of like my boy JT Remuel Realmuto. He's a mule, man. It's tough.
There you go.
All right, 1925, the Braves and the Reds turned 5 double plays each in a 12-inning game to set a new major league record. I wonder if that's been beaten since then.
I did not take the time to check it out today, as I barely got these in at the last second.
I feel it's been 100 years. So.
Yeah, it's been a long time. You know that one? No. 1996, Greg Maddux tagged for 11 hits, 7 runs in just 3 1/3 innings in a 19-8 loss to the Colorado Rockies.
All right, 1999, John Smoltz, Greg Maddox's teammate, records his 2000th career strikeout in a 9-1 win over the Devil Rays, now the Tampa Bay Rays. Smoltz is the 53rd major league pitcher and the 3rd Braves player to reach that level.
And then in 2011, the Braves finished with just 2 hits, but beat the Marlins 1-0 behind Tommy Hanson. R.I.P. Tommy. A solo home run by Alex Gonzalez in the 4th inning off of Brad Hand ends up being the difference maker in that game. So that was all Braves on this day, this afternoon. And again, we've got Andrew Weiss coming up in about 5 or so minutes, and we'll be talking about the Stanley Cup final. Boston, again, last night in the NBA final, game 1, just looked absolutely unstoppable for the most part. Now, one thing I do got to say is in the 2nd and 3rd, I didn't pay as much attention to the 4th when I waved the white flag as a fan watching the game, right? But it did seem like the refs were letting them play for a good little stretch, and I think that allowed Dallas to kind of get back into the game a little bit. So I was happy with the officiating for the most part for the minutes that I watched last night, because I didn't watch the first quarter, and then by that time, the second quarter, I just got home from flag football practice. Then the second quarter was a little bit closer, so around that 3 to 4 minutes left in the first half, I start seeing, okay, Dallas is, starting to come back, can they? And then I was very intrigued in the 3rd quarter, and then by the 4th quarter, it was like, well, Boston's going to be taking this one.
See, I'm wondering about that too. Are they going to continue with that the whole rest of this series, the way they're calling that? Now, were they calling it just to maybe help Dallas kind of maybe get back into the game? Because if they don't continue calling this series the same way, you got to kind of think maybe there's something in play there.
Yeah, we'll have to see game by game. Hopefully the officials in the Stanley Cup final are letting them play as well, because would you say that letting them play in the Stanley Cup final is more advantageous for Florida?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but you should swallow the whistle. It's playoff time.
Exactly. What's some of you got Phillies and the Mets. That's going to be a series that they're playing over there in London.
Obviously, 2 overseas, too. Which is pretty big deal.
Which is cool. But there's a lot of other really good series. One in the AL Central. Who would have imagined we'd be talking about the AL Central this early in the season? But the Kansas City Royals and the Guardians. The Royals got the better of the Guardians last night. But I think that the series I'm looking forward to the most this weekend is going to be the Dodgers and the Yankees.
Yeah, I was going to say that because you got 2 powerhouse teams. Some people could say potentially a World Series matchup depending on how things go because of the strength of both teams. So yeah, I'd be kind of curious to see how they match up against one another. It'd be a good measuring stick.
It would be a good measuring stick. We talked about Florida State taking down UConn 24-4 in game 1. Game 2 will be at 10 a.m. in the morning. So if you'd like to go possibly watch Florida State clinch another trip to the College World Series, Tallahassee right down the road, and the game is not bright and early, but bright and early for a baseball game. 10 a.m. 11 a.m. Tallahassee time. Evansville was giving Tennessee a run for their money. They're in the top of the 9th now. Tennessee owns a 11-6 lead over Evansville. So Tennessee looking like they're going to take game 1 unless Evansville has a huge top of the 9th inning. Top of the 1st just getting underway between West Virginia and North Carolina. And then at 6 o'clock, Kansas State and Virginia will start. And also tonight, Atlanta Braves right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. First pitch at 5:45.
And if you guys want to watch an early game tomorrow, too, that Phillies-Mets game is on at noon on Fox.
There you go. Kansas City Chiefs Vice President Rick Burkholder gave a positive update on B.J. Thompson. We talked about that yesterday. B.J. Thompson, a defensive end for the Kansas City Chiefs, suffered a cardiac arrest. And they said that he's alert, he's awake, and he's coming through quite well and headed in the absolute right direction. He's 25. He suffered seizures and went into cardiac arrest yesterday while they were in a special teams meeting at the Chiefs practice facility. So they weren't even on the field when this happened. And as we know, man, those seizures and heart conditions, they're just something that you don't play with, much like sharks in the water, which can affect sharks in the water. But double red flags are flying over there in Walton, so make sure that you stay out of the water. TNT, this is news that I would normally never even care to talk about, but there's a reason I do like it. TNT is going to be getting the French Open. They're getting that for 10 years, $650 million. Now, I don't know what channel normally the French Open airs on, but I believe it's ESPN.
I believe so, too.
I know that I think it's the U.S. Open that's always on, and I'm always like, why in the world there's so much tennis? You're like, don't y'all have somewhere y'all can play that so it's not interrupting all the other sports? And I'm sorry, tennis fans. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping it real on how I actually think about, these things when tennis is on and it's, all over every single ESPN channel. So now that'll be for TNT. Yeah. So I want,
freeing up that programming, baby.
Freeing up that programming. Can't wait for that. We are going to break away, or not break away, but we're going to go ahead and go over to Andrew Weiss and talk about the Stanley Cup Final. Andrew, thanks so much for giving us some of your time on this Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me as always.
Yes, sir. So today is June 7th, and on this day in 2004, the Tampa Bay Lightning hoisted their first Stanley Cup over the Calgary Flames as Caveman Rick shakes his head. So, Andrew, my question for you, what's your favorite memory from that 2004 Stanley Cup Final between the Bolts and the Flames?
It's hard to pick one, really. You have, probably the last great fight in the Stanley Cup Finals that we've seen in Vinny LeCavier and Jerome McGinley. You get some fights, you get some scraps, whatever, every now and then, but like two actual leaders and one who's not really even a fighter in Vinny LeCavier, two very important pieces of the team, fighting not just for like, okay, let's drop the gloves, need momentum, whatever, but genuinely, there's some respect, but there's some hatred there. There's some we want to, kick the crap out of each other throughout the whole series, set the tone kind of thing with that fight. That was one of the really great fights that set the tone for that series for the Lightning, knowing, hey, you're going to try and push us around this series, but we're not going to get pushed. And you saw that it was a war for 7 games. So between that, Marty St. Louis' double overtime winner is probably one of, if not the most important goal in franchise history. And then Ruslan Fedotenko scoring 2 goals in Game 7 just shows not that he wasn't a goal scorer by any means, but it's not St. Louis or Richards or LeCavier. It shows you anyone can be a hero when the time is right. So really just a phenomenal series from start to finish between those two franchises.
Yeah, that rosy cheek Russian, man, Fedotenko, let me tell you, dude. We traded him to you guys, and he ends up being one of the guys that killed us in the Game 7 against you guys in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, yeah, boo Ruslan Fedotenko, man.
Oh, I love it. Well, Andrew...
He aged like crazy. He probably still looks the exact same he did back in 2004, man.
Probably does.
Rosy cheeks and all.
Well, Panthers, Oilers, here we are. These final 2 teams in a gauntlet in the Stanley Cup Finals. Let's start with the keys. What are the keys for the Panthers to win it all?
Well, if the Panthers want to win it, really the big thing is special teams. Edmonton, they're a good team. They've gotten deeper over the years, which is a huge issue for them for a long time. But the biggest threat from Edmonton, the biggest threat for the Panthers is the Edmonton power play. That power play is historically dominant, and they've been good all postseason long. And not just that, the penalty kill for Edmonton's been really good too. So they've tilted the special teams battle in every series they've played. But that power play can win games. They can take over games. They literally won Game 6 against Dallas after getting outshot, 30-something, 33, whatever, to 10. And they won the game 2-1, and both goals coming on the power play. Sometimes it's the difference maker, and I get a little concerned that the officiating is going to keep that in mind when they make calls, but you just got to call it how it is in the series, and hopefully that's the case. But for Florida, if they want to win the series, they've got to be, smart in the penalty kill, but also not take that many penalties, be smart and not take any. So we'll see if they're disciplined. This is a Florida team that I believe led the league in penalties taken this season. So that's something to keep in mind, the special teams battle, especially when it comes to Florida's chances to win the Cup.
All right, so you mentioned the Florida Panthers' chances to win the Cup. I think, too, that they just got to keep, playing rough and tough and just sticking it to the Oilers, and that's going to be their biggest thing. But what do you think the Oilers got to do to win it all?
I mean, it's there's a few things. I mean, this Florida team is probably the deepest in the entire league. When they're playing the Lightning, I said to a few friends, I said, this is going to be the team to come out of the East. And, a lot of people told me the Rangers, they're a President's Trophy winning team, all this stuff. They got better goaltending. And, yeah, Igor Shesterkin was great last series. But this Panthers team, they're so deep. They're so incredibly talented all throughout the lineup. They've got guys who can score goals from top to bottom. Their defense has taken a huge step forward. Gustav Forslink's been an underrated hero all year for them. He's really getting some love here in the postseason. So if you're going to compete with a deep team and you don't have that same depth, that just means that your stars really have to shine. And for Edmonton, there's really no bigger stars when it comes to postseason hockey than Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, the way those two have been playing once the calendar turns to May the last few years. Again, they have some better depth this year. Zach Hyman's been really great as well. He's been a huge goal scorer. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has taken a good step forward. Evan Bouchard defensively has been great. But really, it's those top-of-the-lineup guys for Edmonton. That's the guys that can take over a game. Connor McDavid essentially willed the Oilers to a win in Game 6. Stuart Skinner was great in net, for sure. But Connor McDavid show, for the 10 shots they got, it weren't many, but when they were high quality, and it's a lot because of the star power they have. So, for Edmonton, they want to win it. Their stars really have to be stars. They can't get shut down by, the dominant defensive play of guys like Alex Barkov and, again, Gustav Forsling, that defense from Florida.
It's like you teed that one up for me to ask you the next question. How do those Panthers slow down Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl?
It's almost funny in a way. It's not stop them, it's slow them down. So how you phrase this is really perfect. You're not going to stop Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl from creating an impact. The question is how you slow them down enough to where you're forcing other guys to make a difference, right? And for Florida, especially with home ice advantage, you can match a pair Alexander Barkov out there. You can get Gustav Forsling and Aaron Ekblad out there, and you're going to give up chances. It's Connor McDavid. He's the best in the world, right? Leon Draisaitl is one of the greatest playmakers in the world. That power play is insane. So really to slow them down, you need to, A, not take penalties and be smart with that, as we talked about already. You don't want to give them a man advantage when they already dominate ice, really both sides when it comes to those guys being on the ice. But also, B, you just want to force other guys to make plays. If you need to key in on McDavid, key in on Draisaitl, whatever, when they're on the ice, be smart about it. Force a guy that's on the ice with them to carry the puck, to make a play, to be a difference maker. And those guys, they might. If you dedicate all of your defensive attention to a McDavid or Draisaitl, you could leave a Zach Hyman open. You could leave a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins open and Evander Kane, all these different guys, sure. But if you're asking me who I'd rather take my chances on, it's going to be those guys versus a McDavid or Draisaitl. So, that's going to be the key to the focus for Florida, is really just slowing those guys down. And again, you're not going to stop them, but you don't need to. You can win a game 1-0. You can win a game 5-4, but a win's a win.
I don't know. You said you don't think you can stop them. I think if Florida punches them in the mouth, I think they could actually probably do a pretty good job of stifling that offense that Edmonton's got. They don't really have those two top lines, and I think if Florida goes out there and makes a statement, I think it might be tough. Kind of like Rocky, man. You hit him in the ribs a bunch of times. It might not pay off in rounds 1, 2, and 3, but when you start getting in those later rounds, it's going to do some damage. Well, on the other side, though, do you think the Edmonton Oilers are going to be tough enough to hang with the Florida Panthers?
So I'll use your Rocky reference, and I'll continue it here. To your point, I know you're talking boxing rounds, but rounds 1, 2, 3, maybe they don't feel those punches to the rib, but later on they start feeling it. That's my one minor concern for Florida. I'll make it, say it's minor because, again, this is a very, very, very good Florida Panthers team. But this is a team that's been physical all postseason long. They've pushed guys around all postseason long. Eventually, does that catch up to you? Does that make it harder to withstand the wear and tear of a series? Now, the Oilers, yeah, you can say that Florida's a much tougher team, and no one's going to argue with you. But the Oilers, they've been pushed before. They've been pushed this postseason. I mean, Dallas, they've got some big, heavy bodies on that team. They've scrapped and battled in front. Vancouver was a grind of a series of 7. Like, this is an Edmonton team that maybe isn't known for shouldering a whole lot of physicality, but they certainly can, and they can absorb it better than most teams. So, for Edmonton, I don't think it's necessarily matching Florida's physicality. It's more so not letting it make an impact. So, you don't have to, I'm not saying you have to evade the whole series because that's never going to work. You can still throw some physicality back, but you just can't fall to Florida's level and let it become, like we talked about at the very beginning, Calgary versus Tampa became a slugfest. 7 games, game 7 being a 1-goal difference. Now, it gets to 7 games and it's a 1-goal difference. McDavid can make a difference of 1 or 2 or 3 goals, but you don't want to get into a slugfest because that's not how you win. You win with the skill you have, the talent you have, and your systems that Chris Knobloch has created since they started off the season so poorly. So that's how Edmonton's really going to win. You can't fall into a gutter fight here. You have to try to maintain the high ground of whatever you have while you have it.
We're chatting with Andrew Weiss, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida. Andrew, just curious, as you're quite popular there on Twitter. Would you say that the Canadian fans, of the NHL fans that live there in Canada, do you think that they're pulling for Edmonton, or do you think that it's like if it's not their province, they don't really care?
Honestly, I think it's a case-by-case basis because I've seen both sides make jokes. I've seen it where there's non-Oilers fans who are saying that the Panthers are Canada's team and it's a fun joke and whatever. And then I see plenty of replies saying, no, Edmonton, like whatever, they're going to break the streak, whatever it might be. I think it just depends. I think there's certainly teams that have no love for Edmonton up in Canada. I doubt the Calgary Flames are really hoping Edmonton breaks the streak. Right, like that's a close rival, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's certainly a lot of Canadians who are like, you know what, like I don't feel one way or another strongly about Edmonton, but I'd rather have a Canadian team win than yet another team from the Sun Belt showing us up here in Canada for the 3rd time in the last 5 years. So I think it's case by case, to be honest with you. I can see Calgary not wanting Edmonton to win. I could see some people in Toronto, since there's so many former Maple Leafs players out there in Edmonton, especially guys like Zach Hyman. But really it'd be, or even Cody Ceci. But really to me, it's case by case. I can definitely see some people still harboring poor feelings over Edmonton up in Canada and rooting for Florida. I mean, heck, down here, Tampa, you could keep the Stanley Cup or the Eastern Conferences in the state of Florida, but that's your rival if you're a Lightning fan. Are any really Lightning fans who are like, I'd rather have our biggest rival, our in-state rival, win the Cup than have it go to Canada, maybe for the laughs of, it's still out of Canada, but I'd be lying to you if I told you that majority of Lightning fans are cheering for the Panthers. It's got to be a lot of Edmonton Oilers fans here in Tampa Bay for sure right now.
And I'm just kind of split. When the Lightning get eliminated, it's just like, all right, I get to sit back and just watch hockey and no pressure. But there's a side of me that's like, well, 5 straight years representing the state of Florida here in the Stanley Cup final. That's awesome. I hate Florida. I do, not the state of Florida, the Florida Panthers. But I can't say that, like, with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Bouchard and Nugent Hopkins, all those guys playing. I mean, they're at like the top of the points list for the playoff performers. And there's something about me that just, even if Florida's not necessarily the underdog, which I think betting is kind of split here, I don't know. Maybe it's the physicality. So I haven't really made a decision yet, but I think that I'm, as a Lightning fan, leaning closer to the Panthers than I am with Edmonton. What about, so are you more on the Edmonton side?
Oh, yeah, fully, 100%. I can see the argument for sure. And I will say this, okay? The rivalry between the Lightning and the Panthers and hockey itself, the state of hockey itself in Florida, is better when both teams are good. Mm-hmm. And seeing the Panthers have success this year, having normalized crowds, I like to make fun and poke fun, whatever, as a Lightning fan. That's your rival. Oh, there's no fans, blah, blah, blah. But genuinely speaking, for the state of the sport itself in Florida, it is better when these two teams are good, when they're fighting with each other for supremacy in the state and for supremacy in the NHL, not just two bottom-dweller teams having a cat fight, right? So that, to me, Florida going to the Cup, showcasing how much the state of Florida has fallen in love with the game of hockey, how it's growing significantly. I mean, the Lightning win the Cup in 2004 is the reason that I'm talking about hockey with you right now. That's the whole reason I got into hockey.
Same.
Was that run made me fall in love with the game. And this recent run of success from the Lightning and now the Panthers you're going to see the benefits of it in 10 years. You're going to see dozens and dozens of NHLers from the state of Florida in the next 10 years, in the next 5, 10, 15 years, whatever it might be. You're going to see plenty of NHLers from this state because all these kids watch their favorite team go to the Cup or win the Cup, and they want to do that. They chase it. They chase perfection. There's more rinks. There's more players. All this stuff is growing significantly. So all of that's great, and I think it's awesome for the state of Florida. With all that said, that's still a rival, right? That's still little brother. That's still, that's like, oh, hey, New York Rangers and Islanders fans for the state of New York, let's keep the Cup here. They would never.
Yeah.
They would never. They hate each other. And again, it's good for the state of Florida for hockey to grow, but it's even better for a rivalry that you hate the guts of each other. And I don't have hate in my heart, but the stinking Panthers winning the Cup, give me Edmonton all day.
All right, he does change me up over here, Caveman Rick. We're singing "Oh Canada" now.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I got hate in my heart, first off. But anyway,
that's all of it.
I'd rather see Edmonton win. I'd rather see a Canadian team win just because they haven't won in a while. But talking about now that we're in the Stanley Cup final, I'll give you my picks real quick, and I want to see what yours are. But for the Conn Smythe, if Florida wins it, I think Sergei Bobrovsky should get it. Bob's has been like a stellar goaltender, even helped out knocking out the Rangers and Shesterkin. And if Edmonton wins it, I'm sorry, David, I'm going to use this terminology, even though McDavid says he doesn't like it, but deep down inside, it's got to make him feel good. But if Edmonton wins, you got to give it to McJesus.
Yeah, if Edmonton wins, it's going to be McDavid. Unless he completely gets shut out of the Cup final, he's going to get it. It's the same reason why Crosby won it back-to-back years when the Cup was won by the Penguins back-to-back years back in 16-17. And there was a very, very strong case Phil Kessel should have won it. I believe in 16 was the year. I still remember that. Phil Kessel was, honestly, I thought he was going to be the Conn Smythe winner almost unanimously, and then it was Crosby by a split vote, and it's like, that's crazy. But anyway, it's going to be McDavid. That's the name brand. He's been doing well. It's not just the name. He's also the league leader in points right now for a reason in the playoffs. So that's to me, without a doubt, the Conn Smythe winner if Edmonton wins it. You can make a case for a Draisaitl or Bouchard, depending how the series plays out, but I gotta go with McDavid with you on that one. On the other end of things, for Florida, I mean, this is a much deeper team that has created a lot of great opportunity, honestly, and to be like throughout the lineup, like deep down. I mean, Kachuk has been good for Hagee, Barkov, Reinhart. They've all been so solid. Gustav Porzing again on the defensive end. So you can really pick a handful of guys. I think you make a great case for Bobrovsky, but for me, I'm probably leaning, if Florida wins, my guess is they've done a good enough job of shutting down McDavid, and that's going to be the storyline. If they end up winning, and every game's like 6-5, whatever, that's a different story. But my guess is if Florida wins this series because they've shut down or slowed down McDavid, Draisaitl, and company, and if that's the case, I think you're going to see Alexander Barkov winning the Conn Smythe.
There we go. That would be a little different than seeing old Bob's win it there, but I like that. I love the take there, Andrew. Do you believe Florida's going to be able to keep Edmonton at bay when it comes to shots, just getting shots on goal there? Because we saw it in Game 1 with the Tampa Bay Lightning and essentially every other game that Florida has played where they just don't let their opponents shoot the puck. Do you think that trend continues here in the final?
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that Edmonton only had 10 shots in Game 6 against Dallas. This is a team that they can certainly take over games and create a lot of chances, but they don't have that same depth to where they can match line for line like a Dallas or Florida. Now, it ends up not mattering sometimes. Again, Edmonton beat Dallas for a reason. They have a lot of great star power, but they don't necessarily generate high quantity of shots. They go more for quality. They create a lot of great quality as well. Florida goes for puck possession and quantity, and they still create a lot of high quality too. Don't get me wrong, but they go for that puck possession. They'll wear you down. They'll forecheck the crap out of you and just keep going over and over to where you're stuck in your own zone. So I could see a series where Florida outshoots Edmonton in every game, but either team could win. I genuinely could.
Of all the players on both rosters, to you, who do you think it would mean the most to hoist that Stanley Cup? Of course, all of these guys, this is what they play their whole entire lives for, to hoist that. But to you, who do you think it would mean the most to?
I mean, I think it's interesting, really, for both teams. Florida, the first one that comes to mind, to be honest with you, is Kyle Okposo. And I know he's not a big name on that team. I know, like, maybe it'd be more meaningful.
Been around for a long time.
Barkow's been in South Florida for a long, long time. It'd mean a lot to him and those guys who've been around for forever in Florida. But, Kyle Okposo, to your point, he's been around for a long time.
A lot of years with the Islanders.
Bad teams. I mean, he was stuck in Buffalo for a long time. He's a well-liked player in the locker room. He was a captain in Buffalo for a reason. They took care of him and sent him to a contender for a reason. Like, that's a guy that a lot of people seem to have love in their heart for, and seems like a good dude. And honestly, if the Panthers win it, Barkov's going to lift the cup. I could see Okposo being second or third on that list as the as Sean Magno of the Athletic loves to say, the old guy without a cup, the OGWAC, however he spells it, all OGWAC. He has a rankings list every year that he does of guys who, would win the cup and probably be one of the first guys to hand the cup to, and Okposo is
like a Ray Bork, like when he got it in 01.
Exactly. It's inspired exactly by Ray Bork. So it's Kyle Okposo would be the Panthers pick on my end. And then, Edmonton, Connor McDavid flipping the Oilers around would be big, but I think, and he has done a great job of that, obviously, but I think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he's been around for a long time. He's been through, the decade of darkness. He was like kind of in the middle of that they like to call the decade of darkness, when they had all those first-round picks, and it was him and Taylor Hall, Jordan Eberle. Like, he's the last one that's still around.
Nail Yakupov, or whatever his name was.
The wayside. Yeah, Nail Yakupov. He lasted a long time in the league, huh?
Yeah, not very.
Nugent Hopkins, he's been around for all of it, basically. So I think, considering everything that he's gone through with that team, I think that'd be pretty meaningful. I think it'd be funny to see Cody Ceci hoisted while the Maple Leafs still look for more than one second-round win. But besides that, I think it'd be probably Nugent Hopkins and Okposo would be the two I'd lean towards getting the cup pretty quickly after the captain.
I would say, obviously he's going to get it anyway, being the big guy, but McDavid, just because of all the promise, all the hype that's been on him, like since he's came into the league, being like the next guy up, the next great superstar, the one anointed. I think it's huge for him, because then if he gets that Stanley Cup, it gets that monkey off his back, and then maybe he can kind of relax a little bit. Maybe it'll free his game up and kind of unlock him even more, as scary as that sounds.
Yeah, that's frightening to think of. And to your point, we always talk about the great ones, and they have multiple cups, right? Or at least one. And, you look at some guys who, they're in conversations of, oh, they were one of the greatest, they were so good, whatever, but they always fall short of those conversations of the guy. I'm a Dolphins fan. All I can think of is Dan Marino, right? Yeah. But Dan Marino and, was it Marcel Dion and those guys who were like, oh, hey, they have these crazy, ridiculous numbers. They've done so well. They've led the league so many times in all these different categories. They were considered one of the greatest in the world at the time when they played, all this stuff. And then they never get
It's like Eric Lindros for me.
Eric Lindros.
That's why I hate the guy.
Yeah, Steve Yzerman for a long time until, not a long time, sorry, in between. Yeah, Steve Yzerman for a long time until he won that cup. He was considered a really great offensive player, and they said, oh, we got to switch and become more defensive-minded, or else you're never going to win a cup and all this stuff. The greats go through that. If they're not winning, it weighs on them. It weighs on. Steven Stamkos is not going to be considered one of the top 4 players in the history of the NHL by any means, but that's a guy who was a great for a long time. He'll go to the Hall of Fame, and not winning the cup after so many close chances was weighing on him for a while. You could tell, and finally winning it, that's a big deal. So, for these guys, McDavid's in a different tier altogether. He's a generational player. So, if he retires without a cup, you're not going to put him in the greatest of all time conversations. Can't. And obviously that starts after Wayne Gretzky, but you got to win cups when you want to be considered the best ever or one of the best ever, and this is his first real opportunity to do so.
Andrew, we are running out of time here, so give us who wins the series. Give us the mind pick, the brain pick, not just the fan pick, and how many games does it go?
The fan pick wants Edmonton. We mentioned that already.
Yep, and I'm with you there now.
The mind pick, it's going to come down to, can Florida contain McDavid, and can Edmonton match Florida's depth? And to be honest, I think this is going to be a really good series. I think Florida's going to maintain possession for most of this series. The question is if they can finish on the chance that they do get, and I think they're going to get a good amount. It breaks my heart to say it. I got Florida in 6.
Florida in 6.
For me, if I got to pick, man, like I said, my heart's kind of with Edmonton. The toughness in Florida is going to be tough to counteract. I do got one caveat to this, that I will say this, and I don't know if this is going to give a team like maybe Edmonton a bit of an advantage. We've seen some problems with Florida all the way back in '96 when they lost and got swept to Colorado. issues in the buildings because of the heat and the humidity, because of it being a South Florida team. I'm wondering if that's going to cause problems for the ice. Edmonton is always known for its ice because of the cold, dry area, especially up when it's in wintertime. But because of it being dry up there, they got great ice up there. If you want to see people skate well, you want to see as great as your team can pass the puck on a fresh sheet of ice, that's the best place you're going to see it happen. I think that might be the difference there that can help out Edmonton. So I'm still going to take Edmonton in 7.
Ooh, I'm going Florida in 6 with you, Andrew, even though I'd love to see a 7 game. So if we get to 7, I'll say Edmonton in 7, Florida in 6, though. Hey, Andrew, thank you so much for your time, my friend. It's always great catching up with you and chatting some NHL hockey. Next time we get you on, we're going to have to go over those new Utah names. The list is down to 6, so we want to find out what you like the best out of those.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I will say one last thing. No matter what your heart says, your mind says, stats say, whatever, at the end of the day, anyone can get McDavid. McDavid did it. McDavid. How you want to say. He can take over a series if he can. Edmonton can win it like this. So I can't snap it. There you go.
Hey, we heard it in the background there. Hey, later, Andrew. Take care. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Game 1 tomorrow night.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it as always.
All right. This is the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Would you prefer us to keep going, Bone Crusher, and we'll just take this segment to about 5:40? All right. That's what we'll do then. Brazil. Let's go to Brazil because there's been a lot of talk about the NFL. They're playing a game there September 5th. It's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers.
Happy birthday to me. Happy on my birthday.
All right, so we're about 2 months away there from Caveman Rick's birthday, but we're actually 3 months. No, yeah, 3 months. 3 months. 3 months away. So Ari Marov put out a tweet. It's a treat and a tweet. He said, just to debunk this, because you had Josh Jacobs on he's with the Green Bay Packers now. He was on a podcast called the Green Light Podcast, talking about how the NFL is telling the players that they can't wear green on the field and they're going to have to be shuttled to the game by armored vehicles. All right, so Ari Marov gets on Twitter and he says, just to debunk this, an NFL spokesperson has denied that the Eagles and Packers won't be allowed to wear green at their Week 1 game in Brazil because the color is affiliated with gangs. Now, side note here, I haven't heard about the color green being affiliated with gangs. From what I heard is the team who plays in the stadium, their bitter rival, if you will, they wear the color green, and so green in that stadium is essentially an informal ban. All right, so the NFL, he goes on with the tweet, says the NFL also denied that the teams would be restricted to their hotels with armored vehicles. Trey Wingo retweets that, and he says, all I'll say is that when teams fans showed up for the Rio Olympics in 2016, they were met at the airport by police with signs that said, we won't be able to protect you.
I think I would believe Trey Wingo. He's a serious football guy. He takes this stuff pretty serious. I don't think that guy would just make this up.
Yeah.
And I mean, in countries like that, I mean, yeah, it can be very, very, very serious.
We're going to take a super speedy break. This is the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
America's team plays here.
Swing and a miss. Struck him out. That's number 10.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida. Charlie Morton, Max Fried, and Chris Sale lead the Braves' dominant pitching rotation.
That's 18 up, 18 down.
Sponsored by Panama City Toyota, LS Agency Insurance, Bestway Portable Buildings, PCB Hobby, and ESPN Northwest Florida.
Got him swinging, strike 3.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Clear tonight with a wind coming out of the north-northwest around 6 miles per hour and a low of 75. Tomorrow morning, look for a light breeze and sunshine with a temperature near 87. The afternoon and evening, a high around 87 and sunshine with a wind 8 to 12 miles per hour. Sunday, hot with a high of 88 and sunshine. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
It's time for a new kitchen from Kitchen Designs. Kitchen Designs in Panama City Beach and Santa Rosa Beach offers full-service cabinets, countertops, and flooring, plus cash and carry cabinets available the very next day. Kitchen Designs has been family-owned and operated for over 20 years. Visit their showroom at 7934 Front Beach Road and on Lynn Drive in Santa Rosa Beach. Or call Kitchen Designs, 850-775-4150.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601, 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The tradition continues.
It is a walk-off home run for Sean Murphy into the Braves bullpen.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdog.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment that you've all been waiting for. You've listened to us for an hour and 40 minutes just for your opportunity to be entered into the grand prize drawing to win an all-inclusive trip to experience the Atlanta Braves take on the Toronto Blue Jays Saturday, September 7th. How do you do that? By listening to the station, ESPN Northwest Florida, 7:40 at the morning on Coach James Hale Show, Monday through Friday, 12:40 on the Inside Drive, Monday through Friday, and then 5:40 with the Afternoon Underdogs. Looking for caller number 10, 850-215-6290. Hit the speed dial, y'all. We're trying to send you to Atlanta. That's brought to you by PCB Hobby, Fairfield, Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive, and by Home 2 Suites. A big shout out to our guests while we have a few minutes here, because we are going off the air at 5:43 today to get you to the first pitch of the Atlanta Braves. Clifford Early coming in and talking Florida State baseball and a little football with us was a lot of fun, as always. He's been on the show with us, I believe 1 or 2 times before, but good friend of Randy Williams, and obviously you can tell that he knows what it is he's talking about. And then again, our latest guest, Andrew Weiss, who always talks some hockey with us around this time of the year and throughout the year as well. A lot of fun. Those 6 team names that the Utah Hockey Club is boiled down to: the Utah Hockey Club, the Utah Blizzard, the Utah Mammoth, the Utah Outlaws, the Utah Venom, and the Utah Yeti. I think I'm between Blizzard and Yeti there.
I got a couple. All right, so the hockey club idea I kind of like. It's kind of like stealing from soccer a little bit, though.
Well,
and it's I know
football team.
I know, I hear you, but like a football team that was kind of in limbo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they didn't really have a better use of a term too, because somebody bought up all the choices for the most part. So I think the hockey club one, and because it's like, I don't know, just that part of the country, just kind of, I don't know, jives with it, kind of like Seattle. And then I like Yeti, but it doesn't fit. That's out in Asia.
Yeah, Blizzard would look really cool. I think that they could get some jerseys that go along with the Jazz, kind of, in a sense. But we're basically out of time, so we got to get our winner on. David, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. How are you doing today, and how excited are you to be entered in for another opportunity here for the 7-year send-off?
Gotta love it. One on the golf course today, got in the car, hit the button, number 10.
Hey, number 10, my friend. Reminds me of good old Larry Jones, Chipper Jones. What do you think we're going to get from the action tonight? Is it the Braves? Do you think we get a good sale, good bounce back from Chris Sale?
Absolutely.
All right, my man. We're going to go ahead and let you go. We hope that you win, and thank you again for listening, and keep on calling back, my friend.
You got it.
All right, that's going to do it here for the Afternoon Underdogs. Your Atlanta Braves are coming up next. Y'all have a great weekend. Just remember, Jesus loves you, so do I.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Bestway and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Bestway or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Bestway Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Bestway Portable Buildings, just north of Harts Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
It's time for a new kitchen from Kitchen Designs. Kitchen Designs in Panama City Beach and Santa Rosa Beach offers full-service cabinets, countertops, and flooring, plus cash and carry cabinets available the very next day. Kitchen Designs has been family-owned and operated for over 20 years. Visit their showroom at 7934 Front Beach Road and on Lynn Drive in Santa Rosa Beach. Or call Kitchen Designs, 850-775-4150.
Your safety and proper care of your boat in an emergency is crucial. When it comes to on-water assistance, response time is everything. And since 1996, in the Bay or on the Gulf, it's SeaTow. SeaTow's Coast Guard licensed captains are on the scene in an average of 1 hour or less. SeaTow gets members home or back to boating faster. Become a member today at SeaTow.com or call 850-234-2323.
For the Nationals, Joey Meneses is at first base. Odemaro Vargas is the second baseman. C.J. Abrams is at shortstop, and Nick Senzel is at third base. In the outfield for the Nats, it's Jesse Winker in left, Jacob Young in center, Lane Thomas is in right, Drew Milas is the catcher, and on the mound it is Jay Curvin. Now, Darren, the last time we saw Jay Curvin, I'm guessing everything in his arsenal was working because he was out there to the tune of 10 strikeouts, and he has a pretty deep arsenal of secondary pitches after the fastball.
Boy, he does. He had a great game against the Braves, probably the best one of his young career. 6 innings shutout, 10 punch-outs. A lot of the victims are in the lineup tonight looking to turn that narrative around.
The last time he was on the mound was against Cleveland on the 2nd. That's the last time they won a ball game. And now for the ball game. And the first pitch swung on and missed by Michael Harris. It's Harris, Riley, and Ozuna as we get things started here in Washington, D.C. 6:46 Eastern, the time of the first pitch. 5:45 Central. Ball inside of Michael Harris. At time of the first pitch, brought to you by Schumann Farms. Real sweet brand Vidalia onions from Schumann Farms.